Imagine ancient texts, hidden for millennia, capable of rewriting history, buried not in grand libraries, but in caves near a desolate sea. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1947, remain a treasure trove of knowledge. Even today, scholars continue to uncover their profound secrets, reshaping our understanding of the past. This discovery not only changed our understanding of the Bible, but also transformed how we view humanity's shared history and faith, making the Dead Sea Scrolls one of the most significant archaeological revelations of modern times. The story of the Dead Sea Scrolls begins not with a grand archaeological excavation, but with a young shepherd in the barren hills of Qumran. In 1947, while searching for a lost goat, the shepherd threw a stone into a cave, and it was then that fate intervened, setting off a chain of events that would change history forever. The sound of breaking pottery echoed through the still desert air, drawing the shepherd closer to a discovery beyond his wildest imagination. Inside, he discovered ancient scrolls wrapped in leather and parchment, their significance entirely unknown to him at the time. At first, he didn't know what he had found, but as the story spread, archaeologists were called in to investigate, and it didn't take long for them to realize that the scrolls were far from ordinary. They were thousands of years old, preserved in a way that defied the passage of time, and they weren't just written records. They were windows into the past, preserving sacred religious texts that had been lost to time. As scholars began to examine the scrolls, and they recognized that these fragile manuscripts held the keys to understanding the ancient world in ways they had never imagined. These scrolls, found in 11 caves around Qumran, were not just dusty relics. They were ancient manuscripts that would rewrite the timeline of biblical history, offering insights into Jewish faith, scriptural traditions, and even the origins of early Christianity. The discovery of these ancient texts provided a direct link to religious practices and beliefs long buried, offering new perspectives on faith and ritual that had been thought lost forever. Their discovery sparked a global rush to preserve and decode what had been hidden for millennia, capturing the attention of scholars and theologians alike, eager to unlock the mysteries they contained. What exactly are the Dead Sea Scrolls, and why do they hold such significance? Imagine a lost library, a collection of manuscripts not found in any grand archive, but hidden in the remote desert, untouched by time's decay. These nearly 1,000 scrolls contain a mix of biblical and apocryphal texts that span over 1,000 years of history, dating from 150 BCE to 70 CE. The scrolls offer a glimpse into the thoughts, prayers, and struggles of the people who lived in an era of profound religious change, capturing the diversity of beliefs and practices that existed long before the modern era of biblical scholarship. The scrolls include biblical texts, fragments from almost every book of the Hebrew Bible, such as Genesis, Exodus, Isaiah, and Psalms. Apocryphal writings, books like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, which were excluded from the Standard Bible, but offer significant insights into ancient religious thought. Sectarian texts. These writings reveal the practices and beliefs of a Jewish sect, most likely the Essenes, who lived near Qumran and were responsible for preserving these texts. These texts include community rules, rituals, and their unique calendar. Before the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, the oldest known manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible were the Masoretic texts, dated to around 900 CE. The Dead Sea Scrolls, however, pushed that timeline back by over a millennium, making them the oldest known biblical manuscripts. For scholars, this discovery was a revelation. It meant they now had access to earlier versions of the scriptures, versions that were closer to their original composition, where the scrolls didn't come from just any community. They were preserved by a specific Jewish sect, the Essenes. This group lived in seclusion near the Dead Sea, building a monastic-like settlement at Qumran. Unlike other Jewish groups of the time, the Essenes practiced a very strict interpretation of the Torah. They were deeply isolated, believing that the end of days was near and that the restoration of Israel was imminent. They believed in the purity of their faith and their rituals were intended to ensure that the correct doctrines would survive the coming divine intervention. The Essenes didn't just preserve these texts out of habit. They believed the written word held power that could survive the apocalypse. Some scholars suggest that the Dead Sea Scrolls were buried in those caves for safekeeping, and fearing that the growing power of the Roman Empire would threaten their sacred beliefs. By preserving these scrolls in the desert, the Essenes ensured that their interpretations would endure. These scrolls weren't just religious records. They were the lifeblood of a community dedicated to a different way of life, a life separated from the influence of the outside world, yet connected deeply to the spiritual world. Qumran itself offers incredible insight into the life of this sect. Archaeological digs at the site have uncovered water cisterns, ritual baths, and remnants of their buildings, which show how isolated and self-sustaining this community was. The discovery of these scrolls from such a small, secluded community raised the question, what other texts could still be hidden, waiting to be found? Decoding the Dead Sea Scrolls wasn't simple. The fragments were small, sometimes torn and degraded by time, making deciphering them a slow and painstaking process. Scholars worked for decades, using traditional methods like paleography, the study of handwriting, and radiocarbon dating to identify when the scrolls were written and to piece together the text. One of the most important breakthroughs came with digital imaging and advanced technologies in the 21st century, which allowed researchers to digitally enhance the fragments. This was crucial in reading the scrolls that had been too delicate to handle by hand. With these new methods, more texts were revealed that had been previously overlooked or impossible to read. What scholars found was astonishing. The scrolls contained rare texts, many of which were unknown to the world. E-books like the War Scroll, which described apocalyptic battles between good and evil, and the Thanksgiving hymns, a collection of prayers and songs, provided scholars with new insights into the spirituality of ancient Judaism. In addition to biblical texts, the scrolls contained legal documents, letters, and theological treatises that offered a unique glimpse into the thoughts and lives of the ancient communities that preserved them. These documents shed light on the religious and social tensions of the time and revealed alternate interpretations of Jewish law and practice. Like any significant discovery, the Dead Sea Scrolls sparked controversy. Who truly owned these ancient texts? The Jordanian authorities initially controlled the caves where the scrolls were found, but after the Six-Day War in 1967, Israel gained control of the Qumran site. But ownership wasn't the only source of contention. The scrolls also raised theological questions. For centuries, scholars assumed that the biblical texts had been handed down largely unchanged. The Dead Sea Scrolls, however, revealed that the Hebrew Bible had been subject to variations, raising concerns about textual integrity. Some religious groups feared that the scrolls might expose doctrines or ideas that challenged traditional beliefs. Others viewed the discovery as a vindication, offering new opportunities to understand the origins of their faith more fully. For decades, the ownership and access to the scrolls remained a contentious issue. But as time passed, the scrolls were shared with scholars around the world. Many of the scrolls have now been digitized and made available to the public, ensuring that their legacy will live on for generations to come. Today, the Dead Sea Scrolls are no longer buried in caves. They have become public treasures, studied by scholars and accessible to the world through digital archives and online databases. With the advent of modern technology, scholars are still uncovering new insights from these ancient manuscripts. AI, digital imaging, and radiocarbon dating are constantly refining the scrolls' chronology and content. In the 2020s, new scrolls were discovered in private collections, and digital techniques have revealed hidden fragments within the existing scrolls that were previously unreadable. This has breathed new life into the study of the Dead Sea Scrolls, showing that their impact continues to grow. The Dead Sea Scrolls have taken us on a journey of discovery and reflection. They've shown us the diversity of thought in ancient Judaism, the richness of early Christian roots, and the profound connection between past and present. But the question remains, what secrets are still hidden in the fragments of these texts? What new discoveries will shape our understanding of the Bible, history, and our shared human past? Only time will tell. The Dead Sea Scrolls may be ancient, but they continue to speak to us, showing that history is not finished. As scholars continue to unravel their mysteries, the scrolls remain a living testament to the power of the written word and its ability to bridge centuries of thought. If this journey into history intrigued you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations into the ancient world.